Good morning everyone, welcome back to my channel. Okay, so little owl is finished. He is done. Really happy with the way he came together. Let me bring that up to the camera there so you can see all the different layers and his eyes. Really pleased with him. So the next thing I want to work on is the tree and all of the blossoms. So I'm just going to grab out the pieces we made the other day, plus some little scraps that we tucked away, and anything else that catches my eye. There's a bit of lace, some of those. There's another blossom. Any scrappy bits in here that look like they might have potential. There's some stars. Pop them out. It's such a good idea putting all of your elements for a big project like this together, because you just never know where pieces will reappear. Got some of those little guys, haven't used those yet. And then if they drift through your work for the whole process, it sort of gives your work some consistency. There's some lace we could throw in. Even a bit of that might come in handy. Those there are interesting threads we've used in previous, so we'll pop them out. Really the foliage is just going to be a collage of different bits and bobs. I see there's some little bits. Using up all your scrappy things that are lying around. That's the beauty of this slow stitch. Lots of ideas. So let's have a little play. I haven't yet stitched this little element down here, that last little bit of tatting, so that's definitely going to go there. So we might start over there in that zone and get a few of these blossoms potentially in there. And then I think we're going to need like other bits and pieces sort of. So every time I pick this lace up to use it, it's just the wrong colour. It just, back into the pot. What about these guys? They've got potential, but they're a little bit blendy. They might be all right. So in our little clusters that we were using bits from to make flowers, maybe we could lay a bit extra of that in amongst it. There's the bit with the stain. I'll just take a piece of that off and pop it on the end there. Sort of makes like the branch has got that. Let me zoom in a little bit because it's going to get quite busy down in this corner. So I like how that's coming together, just a few little clusters. Let's chop these off of that. I guess one thing I tend to do when I'm doing this collaging with textiles is I sort of start to see if something's coming together. Then I'll make myself a few rules, like I might say to myself, only beads within the flowers, or only beads coming down the left-hand side of a stem, things like that. And it sort of helps with a little bit of consistency with your design. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Yeah, that's looking good. These little bits too often help with adding interest to a cluster. Or can come out from behind something. Yeah, like that. Maybe they go under all of the little all the little clusters. Yeah, I like that. Just looking up at the camera. Okay, let's stitch that down. That's a very good start, I think. Where is my needle? So I'm just going to catch everything that's just happened there. Right, just put that needle in there. Need a few pins. A lot of it may adjust slightly because you start handling things and picking things up. Things are going to wriggle around on your work, but you've got a rough idea where it's all going to go. Another pin to hold him, and we know that that will tuck in under there, so it shouldn't be too. I might leave it at that, and then I'll pick this up and we'll stitch this guy down first. We'll come up through that little bit of gold lace. Just take your time because you've got so many little bits and bobs that you can catch your thread on, and you can guarantee when you're rushing along, things catch, like they just did on the corner of the mat. I got a chance to get out and about yesterday, and I ended up going for a drive to Patchwork Angel up on the Sunshine Coast, and I was sort of passing and not really in the mood for fabric, but you know, you always get into the mood once you're in the building. And I was chatting to the owner, the new owner there, and I asked her about Sue Spargo. Now, I believe she's an Aussie girl that does a heap of beautiful embroidery on felt circles, is a bit of her thing. She does all sorts of other embroidery as well, birds and things, but I really love these circles that she's doing. And she's got some great books out, which I've sort of got on my list to maybe one day invest in. Anyway, I was chatting to her, did she have any of these books? And she mentioned that she didn't, but there's a lady coming to her store. Hopefully, they're in the process of working out dates and things to do a class in the new year sometime. So I don't know if that means August or January. Nothing's set in stone, but she just mentioned that this particular lady, can't remember her name, I think it was Melissa something, she is certified by Sue to do that style of embroidery, Sue's style. And there's a potential that there might be some classes being held at the store. So if anyone is interested and you live in southeast Queensland and you've admired Sue Spargo's embroidery from a distance, I don't have my phone here to show you, but you'll know what I mean when you go and research it. They're often round circles of wool felt, and then they're all delicately embroidered, and everyone's different. So it's sort of a really great exercise in learning techniques and stitches because you don't have to do a lot of them. You're only working around probably a 2.5 inch circle. So it's a lovely way to explore stitches that are out there without doing a major project. So that's what sort of caught my attention too, because then, you know, when we're doing these types of pieces, there might be some little stitches that we can have a play with in a corner somewhere on these pieces. It's not a big whoops, now I've lost the little flower. It's not a big project, so you sort of don't mind spending, you know, 15 minutes only achieving something quite small with some fancy stitches. So I was a little bit excited. I thought, wow, wouldn't that be fun to have a chance to do It's not often we get these really great designers here in Queensland. We often have to go interstate. So, yeah, I just thought I'd mention it. If anyone's interested in potentially that course, I'd highly recommend you get online to Patchwork Angel, the Patchwork Angel, and maybe registering for their newsletter, because that was the best way. I asked her, do you have like a secret list under the counter that I could pop my name on? I was like, no, because nothing's confirmed, and when it's ready, it's ready. Fair enough. So she said, are you a member with the newsletter? And I said, yes, I get the newsletter. It usually comes out once a week with what they're up to there. And she said, that's the best way. And as soon as something's confirmed and some dates, she will pop it in that newsletter. So, yeah, just thought I'd mention it because she did make a comment that sometimes things that you think will be really popular aren't. So they sort of fizzle. And I got the impression, being that they're a patchwork shop specialising in patchwork, that something like that might be a little bit left field for their clientele. So I was like reassuring her, no. There's a heap of us out there that are getting into slow stitch, and we're just always looking for new little things that we can learn. So yeah, I just thought I'd mention it. If you're a Brisbane girl or a Sunshine Coast girl, she is thinking about doing it over 2 days, so it might be a perfect excuse for a weekend away with the girls. And yeah, hopefully it all comes together and we can get our bottoms onto a seat. Could you imagine a weekend of stitching Sue Spargo inspired stitches? I must go and order that book. I think it's the second print of the book. And it just looks mind-blowing. And even if you just Google Sue Spargo, some of the neutral colours that she's done recently, where it's just all tones like the owl, except for the blue, of course, stunning. Absolutely stunning. She has little grub roses and, oh boy. I'm thinking I need to hunt that down in the new year. I've sort of made a bit of a pact with myself that next year, 2023, because 2022 was just a horrible year, just horrible for me personally, some tragic losses. 2023 is going to be good. It's going to be real good. That's why I booked my Paris trip. I'm just going to enjoy. And one of the things I've got on my wish list for that year is just to find some of these artists that come to Australia and jump on a plane and go and spend some time with them, because it's all about learning, isn't it? This industry, it's just all about learning new things to keep us inspired. It's so important. Otherwise we will get stale, and we'll start to get sick of doing what we're doing if we don't have new little projects, I guess. And like, projects don't have to be big. We keep thinking, what are we going to do with it when it's done? Well, to be honest, nothing. Put it in the cupboard. Doesn't matter. Put it in a frame. Put it into a book. Doesn't matter. Everyone says, what are you going to do with all this stuff? My reply is nothing. Nothing at all. It is all about the journey. It's about learning something. It's about meeting people along the way with similar interests. Like, there's nothing better than surrounding yourself with a heap of girls that love what you're doing and just chilling out. So next time someone says, what are you going to do with it? The answer is nothing. And that's just fine. I used to always try and have an answer for that question, because it was nearly like a guilt that I was feeling. Is that silly? There is no guilt. We're doing it because of the journey of it. We're doing it because we're learning something new. We're keeping ourselves mentally active. There's constant design happening. That in itself is just priceless. So, there you go. I've had my rant, and I'm really hoping, I'm not sure where that little flower was. I think it was down here. I'm really hoping I get the opportunity to, yeah, learn some new stitches. And even if they're the same stitches, just done a different way, or even just the same stitches done in the Blue Mountains, who cares? At least I'm in the Blue Mountains. So, yeah, that's going to be my New Year's resolution, is to learn something new in the stitching world and get out of the craft room a little. So there you go, my New Year's resolution, amongst others, like stop eating so much chocolate, all those ones. You got to have them every year because they just make you feel good that you're maybe thinking about it. Never happens. But yeah, new experiences will be, just need something else there. Where's the rest of that? There it is. This is like the gift that keeps giving, this little piece of trim. It came off of like a table runner thing. And it's great because you get this little foliage element. It's through the whole Journal of Stitchery Christmas. I think it's all around that wreath with the little bird. So it's lovely that it's popping up again because it's such a great little trim. Okay. Let's see, I might pop another one in there. Have I still got my thread going, or have I finished it? I can get rid of that needle, or that pin. Nope. So pretty much this video is just going to be working my way from the ends of this branch back, because if you have a look in nature, most of the pretty flowers are at the ends of the branch. So that's my theory. I'm sticking to it, that I'm going to just keep poking in little bits and bobs as I drift back towards the little owl. I will put a few around him as well. The other thing I do want to do is maybe do some additional stitching in the background. Got a pin flying around here, just to highlight the textiles that were in the back. But I'll wait until the flowers all go in, because maybe the flowers will become so busy that it's just not needed. It's sort of one of those, we'll see how we go. See if it's needed. Okay. So I like how that's come together. I've got some little bits and bobs there. Now we might leave that area. I wonder if we need to put another little flower in there. Yeah, I think I do. So I'm just going to, it's upside down I think. Just going to twist him around. And I'm only going to stitch down the bottom edge of him so he sort of sticks up in the air a little bit. I'm not going to stitch the top of those petals down. So it's going to look like it's getting a bit three-dimensional. It'll help with these big bulbous beads here. Okay, I'm pretty confident that he's not going anywhere now. All right, let's move to another area and just repeat. I like how the owl is sitting on that patch. It's like there was a hole in the fabric and it's been patched, and yeah, it just creates another point of interest. Okay, so let's have a look up in this top corner. First of all, we've got 3 left. So let's maybe work up that branch. Maybe another one could go out there. And then we start our process of layering again. So we'll get rid of that. Now I've got more bits and pieces around here that could be used, like those little bits of net that came off of a piece. We might pop them in, that can't hurt. All of these pieces, they just create a little bit of interest. Pop that through there. Look, there's no rhyme or reason, guys, just lay it down. Pop that through there, and we'll have to make a few more flowers, I think. Maybe that little guy, he was left lying, so he can find a home. Some little flowers, we'll need them. They seem to be wanting to go on at the very end, once I get the bigger pieces down and the background sort of starting to build up. I'm involved in a tag swap at the end of the year. And in amongst that, I'm doing a tag series where I'm taking Rachel's new kit of tags and I'm using them as the foundation image for the back of the tag. Let me show you. Here they are. So I've gone and put them all on cardstock so they're nice and firm. And the plan is on this side doing some slow stitch similar to what we've been doing, and they're going to form part of my Christmas gift giving, because I'm going to slide into the back of those tags the Christmas gifts. So yeah, I've got the tags prepared, and I've just filmed the first episode where I'm laying down the backgrounds for the tags and getting ready to start pretty much what I'm doing here, just embellishing it with bits and pieces. So that will start airing at the beginning of December, so I can't wait to start playing with that, because it's more slow stitch, and yeah, it'll sort of help me with some Christmas gift giving. I'm doing they're not vouchers, but it's like when you purchase a gift on behalf of someone, and it's going to be things like water systems, latrines, food packages, chickens, cows, or not cows, pigs, to help a village or a village person get on their feet. So the program that I'm supporting this year, I've supported them before over the years, but I only do it every couple of years, and it's the Gift of Grace, I think it's called. Where's my brochure? Yeah, the Gift of Grace. So I'm going to be buying for friends and family items from this little catalogue that help people. So it might be getting water into a school. There's the latrine. There is the farmer that gets all sorts of seeds. This young fella can start a home business with some chickens. There's pigs. They can get a pig to start a little pig manure, piglet business. So yeah, and I really, really want to buy, in the back here is a house where they get everything. Where's that brochure? Open up. They get everything to build a house. This here. All they've got to do is make the mud bricks, and I'll be supplying the roof and the steel needed to build the little house. So my plan is, when you get the purchase made, this little card comes back in the mail, plus this little bauble, which people can hang on a tree. So what I'm planning to do is using Rachel's kit, this bauble will slide in behind a piece of slow stitch that'll be on this side. Let me just go up a bit, making this a bit hard for you. So yeah, the piece of slow stitch will be here, sort of like what we did in Anne Brooks' 52 tag project a couple of years ago, where we had a theme and stitch something. So I'll be doing a similar thing, and then using Rachel's beautiful images on the back, and then the little gift bauble I can tuck in behind with a little ribbon there, and then whoever gets this tag can pull it out and they'll see what the gift is that I've purchased for them. So that's the plan. So if anyone wants to join me in that project, it'll be in the month of December, and you'll need Rachel's tag kit, unless you've got a tag kit, of course, that you just love and you want to use. Well, of course, you know, go for it. But the reason I'm really loving Rachel's new kit for the tags is they're really big. Now all my flowers have just fallen off. There's 3 on the page, and they're a great size for slow stitching on the opposite side. So well, as soon as I saw them, I was like, oh, that's perfect. Because I did a similar thing with the Anne Brooks project. I did the prompts and stitched each of the tags, but on the back of the tag, I just used some of Rachel's digitals, because there was wallpaper and vintage book pages and all sorts of interesting things, and it made a fantastic background. So it's sort of an extension of that project. It gives me some more stitching to do, just little projects. Instead of buying a Christmas card like I would have done, I can now pop those little yellow baubles in the back. So yeah, and I think in amongst all that, there's a tag swap between a heap of YouTube ladies. So one of the tags will go towards that swap as well. So it's sort of getting a lot of projects coming together as one, and I really wanted to play with, I'm just looking at this, I really wanted to play with the new kit. I've got the journal pages and the ephemera and all of her Christmas stuff, so I will be mucking around with a Christmas journal or two, can't help myself. But those tags sent me in a whole different direction. Plus, at the end of it, my Christmas present shopping will be done, and I will not need to go into a Westfield shopping centre. I will not be driving around the car park like a lunatic trying to find a spot. If I've thought this through enough and plan ahead, my shopping will be done early, and it will be handmade. You know, we have these plans every year, and then suddenly it's just too late to try and pull something together. Well, organised I am. And I can't wait to do. I really enjoyed that project that Anne Brooks took us all through, the 52 tags. That was so much fun. So I really want to, yeah, Christmas themed tags using Rachel's new tag kit. So hello Rachel, thank you Rachel for your new kit. It is beautiful. If you haven't been over to check it out, my goodness, what have you been doing? Go and check it out. So I'm just not trying to think too much about this now, because I've sort of got a feeling for what I'm doing with all these little elements. So it's just a case now of grab it and stitch it down and make these little clustery areas where we've got some growth coming out of this tree. Little random little random things. Lovely. I still don't know when I'm going to get my red bird done. Gosh, anyone waiting for red bird, I do apologise. I'm just running out of time. He will turn up, but little owl here just consumed me. He just took over. Trying to get this little piece of white lace in there as well before I stitch that down, and I can't tuck anything in behind. Yep. So my clusters are growing bigger with all these little scrappy bits of lace tucking in there. Now, I might, while I'm here, have a look at some of these stars, because why not? Little mother of pearl stars. I like doing foliage. Well, I like doing birds. I like doing foliage, flowers. That's just, there's no rules. It's just freedom to stitch. Animals, yeah, and birds, I guess you got to make sure it looks like the intended creature. But if you can find yourself a template from an embroidery book or some inspiration from some photos, you're at least on the right track to getting the features correct. Just going to put that there. I haven't yet stitched down that net, so I might work in that little area next. So it just slowly comes together. Got my flower upside down. Let's just get that right. Not that it really matters, because sometimes the bottom side of the lace is not as shiny as the top, and it can sometimes be just the way it needs to go. You know, it just suits it being more matte in tone. Let me just bring the camera back down so that you can sort of get a little bit better view of the layering. I think I'll definitely add probably another cluster there made out of those fabrics with some beads in them. But we'll just get this net secure with a few stitches so that it doesn't jump away on me. And we're going to head up to that corner because we're yet to put in there some bits of the lace leaf and the brown leaf. I'll just do one more stitch. I'll need more cotton too. But I guess my hot tip is don't overthink this side of the stitching, because you're just laying down random elements. Once you get your branch sorted, you sort of can't go too wrong, because you sort of know where you're heading. So it's just a case of filling it in. I'm trying to keep all the little elements I'm using to quite fine, because I don't want to overpower the little owl. Might pop that flower there. Just stitch him in. Lost my thread, goodness sakes. Got a little piece of cheesecloth sitting here on the edge of my, so let's lay that down, then that, and stitch that down. Got my flower up the right way. No. Oh yes, I did. Let's get him back down there and stitch him down. So any of you started your Christmas shopping yet? I'm certainly not a leave it to the last minute type of girl. I like to know that it's done and dusted, and sort of tend to start a list through the year. So as I'm chatting to people, if they say something, I'm like, oh, I could get that for them for Christmas, and I'll pop it on a list in my phone. But this year I went to that list and there was nothing there. So I don't know what happened. 2022 by the sound of it. So these tags will be really handy to have in my stash. I won't need all of them. I'll probably make a dozen. I'll see how we go. But I've got so many scraps lying on my desk here too from doing these projects that it'll just be a great way of using up some of these bits and pieces that are on the desk from all this slow stitching. And it's like the scraps that I'm working with. It's just random bits and pieces. You get to a point where there's just so much stuff lying on your desk. Then you go and buy more stuff, and sometimes you can't just get a morsel of something. It's like a meter or something, and you'll never use it in a million years. Okay. Now I can't go too crazy because I need some more of those little clusters. Otherwise, oh, maybe I don't. Yeah, maybe I don't. Okay. Do these gold ones have a home? They've been in this project box since day dot, and they've just never found a piece. I don't think on anything yet. And today is the day. It's going in. That's it. Made a decision. They'll put in there because they suit the colours for the whole blue and even red. Like, they're that perfect champagne-y colour, but they just never found a project. But that's in. I might get another one of these out and pop that behind it, just to sort of extend that branch a little bit, like it looks like it's meant to go up into the air somewhat. I think I'm going to need another one. Oh, hang on, I've got a button to go up there, so no, that's as far as we'll go. So I'll just pop a couple little stitches in here to hold them. We don't want to go any higher, so let's start working our way back down into this zone, and maybe we do a star. Let's pretend the stars are berries. So that's him into position. We'll leave that air there. I think that's enough of that cluster. So we might end that off and go elsewhere, I think. Now, where are all my scraps from when? Yeah, I'm just looking at my TV. Got this little bit of lace kicking around here. Look, I could have used the stained piece because the colours certainly work well, but look, at the end of the day, I don't know what caused that stain. So I don't know its story, I don't know its history, so I'm just gonna let it go. It's not needed. So I might just lay this morsel somewhere. Maybe just there. Maybe I to stretch it out a little bit. Yeah. You can't even see what I'm doing. I've just stretched it a little bit. And now it's just a case of catching it down. And then I think we'll head down to around the little owl and we'll start nestling some foliage in around him without overpowering him too much. But, you know, having said that, there really aren't any rules. I guess we'll just leave a bit of air around him so you do see the background fabrics. I keep losing my thread. I'm rushing now. I'm looking at the time and thinking, oh my goodness, 40 minutes. Okay. I did grab out these. I know I said I was going to the owl, but maybe I need to investigate these further. They're like little embellishments that I got from a bead company down in Sydney. There'd be a video somewhere. Oh yeah. Just a few poked in around the place. Might be nice. So that's definitely something I will play with. But what I'm going to do in the meantime is make another cluster for around here as a start of the owl. Now these probably need to be a little bit bigger because we're getting closer to the trunk of the tree. So I'm just cutting that rough semicircle, circle-ish shape. Each time a fraction smaller than the last. We're going to pop a little bit of cheesecloth in there as well. Scraps to the one side, maybe a dark little piece next. And then in the center of them I popped a few beads as well, which I can do when I come back. But in the meantime, let's get a cluster made and in position. And then I might have to finish the video because I'd like a little bit of time at the very end where I come back and show you the completed piece. So in the first video we created those clusters independent of the piece because I just knew I wanted to do some clusters. So you can, like I'm doing here, make them and stitch them straight into position. Now I'm just going to squish that up a little bit so that it gets a bit of a pleat to make it a bit 3D. Couple little stitches just to hold that in position. And then of course the beads can sit in there. So I'll just bring my needle up again, grab some of this lace, and away we go again, just building bits and pieces. By all means, you can work out your complete layout and then pin it, then come back and stitch like I did at the very beginning of the video. But sort of now that I've done that, I've got a feeling for what I want to do. So I'm just going to just literally freehand it as if I'm painting and just going for it. I'd be pretty confident it should work out. At the end of the day, it's just needle and thread, and I can snip it and bring it back out. So I'm going to make another little cluster. How are we going for time? Plenty of time. So one. did that circle get to that I just cut? Might put some cheesecloth in next. In there. And that in there. And then I can pop beads in there when I come back. But you get the general idea of where I'm going. I might just grab, so I can't stop. I'll just grab that lace, this one. Where was it? Cut another piece off. And we want one of those little branches to get a bit of a long line coming out from that cluster we're working with. So I can tuck this little guy into there. So it feels like the tree has sort of got a bit of foliage hanging down. A couple little stitches to secure it. And then I think we've sort of got that little corner in position. I've only got a little bit of thread left, so let's stitch a little star in there. And then I will have to go, because otherwise I won't have time left on the video to come back and show you the finished piece, and otherwise it'll end up as video number 4 in the series. Little owl, you have really commanded some time, considering the size of you. Tell you what. Okay, so I'm going to finish that off. So once again, we've just got a random little clustering of elements. They're all similar now, so it looks like there's a bit of consistency. And I'll just keep working along the little owl area and just building it up, popping a few beads in there. I don't think I'll do, let me come back out. I don't think I'll do too much more up here. We'll see how we go. You know, who knows, I might find a random thing that I add, like a button or something, and then I go and revisit these areas. I know I need to get some more of these into position. This one's actually cut, so maybe he would be good tucked in. Yeah, I'll tuck him underneath all that. Just that'll find him a home, and it'll sort of help tie it in. Okay guys, I'm going to pause the video here. I'm going to go away and work some more of these treatments up through here. The other thing I'll need to make a decision on is whether I do some more top stitching around the background elements, just to build up more depth to the image. But yeah, I think it's coming together. All right, guys, I will see you shortly, and probably a day will pass, maybe 2, as I finish off my little owl. Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm back. Number 9, the owl is finished. So I haven't yet cut in my, what do you call them? Buttonholes to secure the buttons and this piece all together, but the buttons are stitched on, so I'll do that once I get off the camera. So here's my little owl. Ta-da! There he is, as cute as a button. Really, really pleased with the way it came together. So I'll just bring that up to the camera. What did I do once we last spoke? I put a little cluster up here, embellished the beads into those little clusters through here, and also this side. And then I did some running stitch around just the owl. I had plans on doing some running stitch around some of those background elements, but there were 2 things that stopped me. When I did this line here, I was so close to the bottom of the piece underneath that to get a line in there just would have looked a bit odd. So that was the first thing. And then up here, this piece was going out at quite an angle. So I sort of decided just let it go, just focus on the owl. It's like he's sitting in a little picture frame, and then the tree and the blossoms are sort of doing their own thing in the background. So absolutely love how he's come together. So he can slide into his position in our journal. So we'll just do that. And then I thought I might quickly grab the, see there's those stars. I knew I had used them somewhere before. It's amazing how time has flown. There's that lace that we used. Oh, that's great. So little elements are popping up throughout the whole, there's that lace throughout the whole series. That's great. Love it. And the beads have followed through the whole process. So here we go. Number 9. Little owl will slide into there. And then the number 9 sits on the top of that. Just position it. So I have yet to do my little bird. There's my number 9. So that's all sitting in the book nicely. I'm not sure when Little Red Bird will happen. He will happen. He might be next weekend. We'll see how we go. So as long as I got my little owl done, I'm wrapped, because I loved the owl I did back here earlier in the year in some of the prompts from the beginning of the year, and he was just so much fun to do. So I'm just so pleased that he's made a reappearance, whatever. He's reappeared in my Christmas journal. Now I had a lovely suggestion from Carolyn, who is in Canada. When you watch the bonus video, which I seriously haven't stitched any of it down yet, but the wrap that's going around this whole piece in the bonus video, the weekend last, it was on the Sunday, I pinned all this down and sort of really laid it down, and I mentioned that this was my mum's blouse. So it's sort of a bit of a memory tribute. Now, Caroline made a fantastic suggestion that I stitch a J somewhere on here for my mum. Her name was Janelle. So this little spot here is going to be a J. And even if it doesn't fit there, I'll make it fit somewhere, because I have a Edwardian book. I'm sure it's Edwardian. I'm just going to have a little look in my cupboard and see if I can see it at a glance. I picked it up at an op shop. Yeah, here it is. Victorian, not Edwardian. This is it. I got it for $2. It's an old book, and it's just full of alphabets that you would see monogrammed onto things. I would have to say there is a J in here somewhere. So a special thank you to Carolyn for just giving me the idea, because yeah, what a great idea. I've just got to find one that's suitable. I'm not going to look too much because I want to take my time, and I'm going to put a J on that, and that will be my wrap for my whole Christmas bunting advent calendar project. What a mouthful. Let me just take the camera up a little bit because we're a little bit close. So yeah, that's the project. That will wrap around. Just got to do some stitching like usual, more and more stitching. And somewhere on it will be a J. Thank you, thank you. What a great idea. Gosh, now I'm making a mess of it all. That will come up there, and that will come across, and that will be the snippet that's going to wrap around it with the J there from this old book I found in an op shop. There has to be something in there that will be perfect. Perfect. I don't know when this was printed, but she feels old. What's the date? Looks like they've pulled the books pulled the patterns from many books. Oh, there's someone's address. We better cover that up. Where's the date? First printed. I can't see it easily. It'd have to be there. 1974. There you go. That's the year my brother was born, and I was born in 1972. So now you know how old I am. So that's perfect. I'm going to do a J there. Thank you to my friend in Canada. Okay, everyone, have a fantastic week, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.